So I've been playing a lot of Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild since I got my Switch. And when I say a lot, I mean it's damaging my relationships and business. I'm obsessed. And that's led me to ask myself, what is it about Breath of the Wild that makes it so compelling? Why are so many people infatuated with this game right now? So I had a think, and I believe the answer has something to do with the reason that we're drawn to action movies, comics, and even working out as well. I think that we can trace what the new Zelda gets right all the way back to the very drive that pushes us towards adventure and challenge. It's the same human spirit that's summarised by Joseph Campbell's Hero with 1,000 Faces. Sounds grandiose for a computer game, but let me explain. So according to literary theorist Joseph Campbell, every single story in films, books, comics, legends, myths, and yes, even games is essentially a retelling of the same tale. That tale is referred to as the hero's journey, or the monomyth, and while different examples of fiction might veer from the structure more than others, most will still make the same critical stops along the way. These stages include the ordinary world, the call to adventure, refusal of the call, meeting the mentor, crossing the threshold, tests, allies, enemies, approach to the inmost cave, the ordeal, the resurrection, and return with the elixir. So during the first stage, the ordinary world, we'll find our hero in the normal environment and get to know what their life is like. While things are just okay at this point usually, the hero will experience some kind of pull or desire for adventure. Often the hero feels somewhat out of place, like they don't quite belong. This is a call in itself, but often it will be compounded by a catalyst of some sort. The discovery of a mysterious trinket, new information about themselves or their world, or quite often, the death of a parent. In superhero stories, the hero will often receive new powers. At first the hero will be reluctant to accept this challenge. They'll turn down the offer of adventure and need further persuasion and encouragement. This is refusal of the call. Often the hero will meet some kind of mentor, maybe an older man figure. They'll give them words of encouragement and perhaps some kind of trinket or weapon that they can take with them to help on their way. This is meeting the mentor, and in some cases it will happen later in the story. Crossing the threshold is the point at which the hero accepts the road ahead and embraces the journey. Sometimes this will literally involve crossing a threshold into a world of adventure. Other times it will be a less literal decision to try something new or take on a challenge.
Toto, I have a feeling we're not in Kansas anymore.
Tests, allies, and enemies describes the initial challenges faced in this strange new reality. Often this means meeting new allies and facing initial challenges and obstacles that aren't too hard to overcome, but they give a taste of this new world. Eventually, the hero will make progress on their journey into this strange new world, and they'll begin to uncover its core. This is often described as the inmost cave, the belly of the beast as it were, and the most dangerous and crucial part of the challenge. The ordeal is the biggest challenge that the hero will face, and one that will often leave them battered and defeated. It's at this point that we normally see the end of Act 2, the point where all seems lost for the hero.
What did you say to the kid? It ain't about how hard you hit. It's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward. How much you can take and keep moving forward. Get up.
Let's go! Get up!
The next stage is where the hero turns things around, sometimes by accepting a higher cause or having a personal epiphany. Often though it will be a literal transformation, and my favourite example of this of course is Goku's transformation into a Super Saiyan. Of course this theme is also seen very commonly throughout religion and myths, with many messiahs literally returning from the dead, only stronger and more formidable than before. In other instances, the hero may receive a reward of some sort, such as an elixir, a weapon, knowledge or love. This may be the MacGuffin that motivated the hero to leave in the first place, or it might be something unexpected. Finally, the hero will journey home and return with their newfound power and confidence, completing the coming of age story. They'll often face down an evil in their home territory and may face a parental figure in order to become their own person and mature into an adult. They are now masters of both worlds. Of course, sometimes this elixir is love, in which case they'll likely live happily ever after. So these themes are universal because they speak to our unconscious desires and commonalities. In particular, they speak to the aspects of our psychology that are shared across all of humanity as vestiges of our evolutionary history. It's no coincidence that Joseph Campbell was influenced by the psychologist Jung, who suggested the existence of a shared collective unconscious. Jung too pointed out the recurring themes across culture, history and works of art in the form of archetypal characters. So we respond to this universal story because it is the story that we all shared when humanity was in its infancy. We would all have been born into small supportive tribes, and then would have been forced to venture out into the world to discover pastures new and new resources. We would have battled with monsters, foraged for food, and become stronger and more formidable in the process. And this is still our story to a degree. We are still forced at some point to leave our home and to make new friends, to decide what we want in life, and to grow as people. And we all strive for actualization, that point at which we feel we found purpose and peace. From all my many years writing about health, fitness and neuroscience, what I've learned is that the human body and mind crave this challenge and new experience. Our body is constantly changing, and if it's not taking on new challenges and having new adventures, then it's moving backwards. It's up to you whether you want your body and mind to grow or decay. This is why the brain releases reward hormones like dopamine and serotonin when we successfully accomplish a challenge, and it's why it becomes more plastic when we try to learn new subjects. This is why we're more likely to enter a flow state when we're in an entirely new environment. And when it comes to learning, the brain much prefers learning through action and doing rather than reading and theorising. We crave physical challenge, and our bodies yearn to climb and jump. That's why I find it so offensive that when we climb something in public, we're told to get down. Traqueurs, keep on parkouring. So you see, this venturing out into the wild outdoors might not have been particularly comfortable or safe, but it is what our bodies are designed to do, and we still crave that kind of adventure, mystery and survival. This is where we get our urge to go out and explore the world now and to take on new challenges. We could stay in our comfort zone, but then we would not progress forwards as individuals or as a race. If we did not all share that call to adventure, then would humanity be where it is today, or would we all still be living in caves? We choose to go to the moon not because it is easy, but because it is hard. This is the best part of the human spirit, and it's what exists in all of us. It's why we will continue to do great things, and it's why we will become overweight, depressed and mentally weak when we don't venture outside our comfort zones. This is why I think Zelda is such a home run for Nintendo. It manages to capture that feeling of challenge, of having to think on your feet and discover amazing new things perfectly. When you play Breath of the Wild, you are living out that hero's journey. Whether you're questing through thick woods trying to find food to eat and taking shelter from the storm, or whether you're finding the Master Sword and using it to return to areas and battle enemies that you couldn't fight before. And it perfectly evokes that sense of awe and wonder when you discover an amazing new environment. And this is no coincidence either. Shigeru Miyamoto says that his original inspiration for The Legend of Zelda was playing in the woods with his friends and going on adventures as a child. Even the setting and the name alludes to that original feeling we would have got when we had to survive in the wild, cooking things to eat, foraging for food and stalking our prey. Zelda Breath of the Wild. When you realise that while being chased by an enemy you can drop a combustible material to use as a trap, that is precisely the kind of quick thinking that our brains thrive on, that makes them grow and develop. Zelda works because it gives us challenge, discovery and adventure, even if it is just a simulation. The brain needs that adventure and challenge to be happy. If you're not finding your own calling and striving for your own discoveries, then you won't be fulfilled. So forget comfort and focus on making your life a grand adventure. That way you'll be happier and healthier. In the meantime, at least we have games and movies like Zelda and others for a little bit of escapism. And this, by the way, is what the Bionaire is all about. It's about becoming faster, stronger and smarter. It's about constantly challenging the body and mind in new ways to keep it growing. And by doing so, I think that we can all live lives that are a little bit more like the lives of our heroes. Whether that means discovering new ideas through coding and philosophy, escaping the streets below by climbing and jumping across rooftops, or escaping the 9 to 5 so that we can work throughout the world. That's the other thing I like about the Zelda games, they all serve as a perfect metaphor for training and how it relates to freedom and possibilities. All of the experiences you have in Zelda make you stronger, just as they do in real life, and the stronger you become, the more environments you can tackle. By increasing your stamina you can climb higher, by improving your combat you can venture through lands swarming with enemies, and by improving your resilience you can trek through deserts and volcanoes. I'm happiest when I'm in the gym or when I'm learning new programming language because that's when I'm training, that's when I'm growing. And that's when life is less of a boring daily grind and more akin to being a warrior or an adventurer. And when people ask me why I work out, the best reason I can give is that so if I ever met Batman, we'd have something in common. I think life should be an adventure, and I see no reason why it can't be. Thanks a ton for hearing me out, guys. Hope you found that interesting and maybe a little bit inspiring. If you did, please consider liking and sharing this video. Maybe leave a comment down below in the comments section and I'll try and get back to you. Perhaps consider following me on Twitter and Facebook. I post my workouts and my daily work, etc. on there, so you can see that. And yeah, I've got plenty more like this on the way, more training videos, more philosophy, psychology, neuroscience, transhumanism, technology, working out, you name it. So stay tuned and I'll see you for the next one. Thanks very much for watching and bye for now.